What's up, guys? Matt here with OddsJam. Just here to give you some player props to lock in for the Super Bowl. I got 3 total in this video for you guys to lock in. I've been coming up with a bunch of different stuff, different types of content, videos, bets to make for the Super Bowl, including MVP, Gatorade color, same game parlay, 2 other parlays that aren't part of the no sweat one that FanDuel offers. But the odds are constantly changing. That's both true for the main lines and for like alternate lines and player props. So I figured it's been about a week or so since I've done a specific player prop betting video for the Super Bowl. So I figured I would start looking at the updated lines and just give you guys some bets to lock in. And the first one that we're going to go ahead and lock in here, already locked this one in, Quez Watkins under 12.5 receiving yards. So the bet is at -103 odds at Caesars. It's really good. It's a really good play. Number one, the math behind it. No vig odds. Let me zoom in a little bit here. That OddsJam calculates has this priced at -106. So that's kind of the first thing to understand when it comes to positive expected value betting is the odds in this column here that say no vig odds. They're pulled from the sharpest sportsbooks in the world. So OddsJam did a ton of back testing of previous betting opportunities and collected a ton of data to determine what sportsbooks do the best job at pricing odds. And I don't mean like yesterday, I mean over a long period of time and a lot of different samples. So some sportsbooks might be better with NFL. Some might be better with NBA. Some might be better with player props. So OddsJam just collected all of this data and then let the data tell them who's sharp for what sport and what market. So these no vig odds can be viewed as the true line, the perfect line of what a market should be priced at. It's pretty much as simple as that. You can view these no vig odds as the perfect, the true, accurate representation of a market. So in this case, they're pricing it at -106. We are getting better odds at -103. That is profitability. And then what you want to do, I do this before placing a bet. Just look at the odds of the bet you're placing, which in this case is Caesars, or the -103 at Caesars, and compare it to the rest of the sports books. So in this case, you want to start with the sharp ones. Pinnacle has this priced at -125. Remove the vig, that's a good sign. DraftKings and FanDuel, surprisingly, both do a pretty good job with player props. They both, DraftKings at -120, FanDuel at -122. Now, I'm not saying that one of these sports books is the source of truth, that as long as it is positive EV to them, that's the most important thing. You would just like to have the entire betting landscape and look at those in a little bit more detail. I'll still take positive EV bets on FanDuel, on DraftKings, if they're good, if they're outliers to the rest of the sports books. And then just look at the majority outside of them. BetMGM -120, WinBet -125, FoxBet -133. We're getting really good prices from every other sportsbook. And when I say really good, I mean that they're telling us how likely it is for Quez Watkins to go under this receiving yardage prop. So it's really good to confirm our profitability for the Caesars bet. So I did want to confirm that. Quez Watkins, third receiver for the Eagles, more of a deep threat. He doesn't have a reception in either of the playoff games so far. Wasn't targeted against the Giants in their first game. Was targeted once against the 49ers in their second game. I just think he's a little bit untrustworthy. His route running isn't as crisp as you would like. He's fumbled on a deep pass as well. Can't really trust him. I don't think he's going to get a ton of work in this game. It makes a lot of sense to me why this under is positive EV, so I hit it. Next up, I have 2 plays that I found using the OddsJam screen. So the way the screen works is you choose a market. In this case, we're looking at rushing yards, and you try to find outliers from one sportsbook compared to the rest of the sportsbooks. So the example that I have here is Isaiah Pacheco. FanDuel prices this at his over-under rushing yards at 46.5. No other book has it at 46.5 except for Fox Bet, and they always are aligned. Fox Bet and FanDuel are always aligned on player props. I don't know if they have the same odds provider for player props or what, but they're always aligned, which I find kind of funny when you look at their main lines. They have different alternate lines. Their main lines are always the exact same. But look at every other book, regardless. Look at every other book. 48.5, 47.5, favoring the over, 50.5. This 46.5 is the lowest that any other book is on his rushing yardage total, Isaiah Pacheco. Now it's on FanDuel, which I mentioned is good with player props, but I also mentioned that I would take bets on FanDuel if they are profitable. This one is profitable. DraftKings prices it at 48.5 and favors the over. It's a really, really good price here on Isaiah Pacheco to go over 46.5 rushing yards. I know it's risky backing an Andy Reid team to run the ball enough for his back to hit this over, but I think they got a good matchup in the run game if they decide to take it, and the value is there. The last play is another receiving yardage prop. In this case, we are looking at the Chiefs running back, Jerick McKinnon, and we are taking him to go over 20.5 receiving yards. So you can get this at minus 110 odds at both BetMGM and DraftKings. And you can see exactly why. Every other book that doesn't have it at 20.5, which is a couple, it's BetMGM, it's DraftKings, it's Caesars. But Caesars, look how much they juice the over. They have the over at minus 137 compared to minus 110 on the other two. And then Tipico also has it at 20.5 as well. But every other book has it at 22.5, with a decent amount of books actually favoring this going over at 2 yards higher. Like OddsJam. The OddsJam Perfect Line, this is pulled from Pinnacle, has the over-under at 22.5. They favor the over. They have the over at minus 120, the under at plus 102. They're favoring the over at 2 yards higher. Look at WinBet, same thing. They have the over-under at 22.5. They favor it going over. So we're getting a pretty good price here at only minus 110 odds at 20.5. So I think that this is a really, really good play. Jerick McKinnon over 20.5 receiving yards. So I like the running matchup for Pacheco. I like the receiving matchup for McKinnon. And that's going to be it. So 3 player props for you guys to lock in. If you're tailing, comment and let me know. But that's it. So appreciate everybody watching and have a good one.